Thank you for all being here. I'm happy to share my view of the world, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions. I have a lot to get through, so I'll get through quickly, and if you have any clarification questions, feel free to ask, and leave all other things to the end so we can have a discussion. And because we have a very scientific engineering audience, very analytical, I thought it's worthwhile sort of contrasting Buddhism and science so that you can analyze in the right way. So science is about exploring physical world, and it's based on theory. Theory is a system of ideas intended to explain something, and it's a third-person experience, not a first-person experience, and explain where things appear to be by way of modeling, and the model changes as you learn more and more, so nothing is final. So there's nothing called true. It's true as long as it is correct. So it's a moving target. Whereas in Buddhism, it's about exploring physical and mental, and it's a way of understanding causation, cause and effect based on direct experience. And the aim is to gain wisdom compared to benefit of the mankind in the science. So it's not necessarily selfish, but it's about your salvation. It's a first-person experience. It's an observer observing themselves and verify where things are through direct experience. So we'll talk about what is true and what is not. A question: what is our goal in life? It's a goal common to everyone. To be happy. Pursuit of happiness, as the Constitution says. We all are chasing happiness. But happiness and bliss are used sometimes interchangeably, but I like these separate definitions. They are not the same. Happiness is conditional to external objects. For us to be happy, we depend on something external. And it's looking outwards. So you use objects meaning things, people, materials as well as situations. And this is more materialism. It plays to materialistic living. It's when you are happy, you are excited. So it's an excited state, and it is an endless search because you are never happy. You have, and then you want to have more and more and more. So people who are really materialistic, who have everything, they realize that it is not the happiness. So there's a big trend for minimalism, like Warren Buffett. Whereas bliss is unconditional to external events. It's looking inwards to self, and it's to understand reality through wisdom. It's a grounded state. It's not, I wouldn't call it excited state, but also, at least in this context, it's towards the ultimate goal. Let's do a simple experiment. So when you see the next screen, be mindful of what comes to your mind. So it may be the beach, the sunset, and for the gentleman it could be the lady, the butt, the legs. It could be anything. And be mindful what your emotions are. And if you see in the heart shape, you're looking for love. I don't know how many of you saw the heart shape. Don't raise your hand. But so the point is that what you pick on this picture is based on your sankhara. It's not a random event. What you see here, what you saw first, the first thought is based on your sankhara. Means the predisposition or your conditioning, your past experience up to that point. And if you are aware, if you have done Vipassana meditation, you probably could see this, but I'll explain later. That thought, the immediate thought is followed by other number of thoughts, and where you like it and then you indulge in that, or if you dislike it, you indulge in that. Those are secondary thoughts. And those thoughts create new sankharas. And So you are a new person, having seen that. So the person you saw, the person that saw the picture is not the person you are now. Because you create a new sankhara based on your emotions and what you picked and what you thought about it. So this is a fundamental to Buddhism. And sankhara is based on causation, so that nothing happens like in science there's something called random. There's nothing called random. Nothing happens randomly. There's always a cause. And in Buddhism, the world, the universe is based on causation. So, let's explore the mind. And so at this point, I need to warn you that what you are going to hear, so this is a disclaimer in case you get disturbed. So we are going to explore the mind in little bit more detail, and there is no sugarcoating. We are not in the temple, so we can be candid and vivid. So I will not sugarcoat any of that. So, what is our contact with the, how do we interact with our world? So these are the inputs to us. You're all familiar with our five senses. They are the window to the world. And mind is basically regurgitating all the inputs you've received from the other five. So as you know, in Buddhism we have six senses. And mind can't perceive on its own. It just regurgitates whatever you have already received. And this is the only thing that we have to experience the world. So whatever you experience directly is the only truth. Everything else is a mental construct, as we will discover in a minute. So our connection with the outside world is, you can look at it two ways. There's the conventional truth and the ultimate truth. We are really living in the conventional truth. What we experience in the world all the time, every day, is a conventional truth. And there are a lot of pitfalls, as I will discuss in a second. Next one. So, question. Can you touch what you see? Yes?
Not always.
Close your eyes. And I think you can close your eyes and touch this. Okay, what is it? What's the shape?
It's a circular shape.
Okay, what's the color?
Well, sorry, I saw the color.
What's the color?
It's green.
Okay. So you can't touch and see. So the point is that you cannot touch what you see. Because what you see is the colors. That's all you can see. Shades are all colors. What you touch is hard, soft, liquid, gas, apo, tejo, vayu, whatever kind of thing. So what you touch, you can't see. And the same, you can't hear what you see. So effectively, all your senses are independent. There is no connection. So when you perceive them individually, and also you can't perceive at the same time. The brain or your consciousness only can pick one at a time. And everything we see and we connect together is a construct. That's not real. What's real is everything that comes through these five senses. Anything else, the connection between, if you say your phone rings and you see it, and when you say the phone rings, it may not be the same phone, it could be a different phone, because you are trying to connect what you see with what you hear. And that connection is not necessarily, it's a construct. It's not real. So the world we are in is really, we are in the conventional reality. It's not what you see, not necessarily. Next question. Why do you like or dislike people, things, situations?
Past experience.
Huh?
Mainly people, yeah, old feelings, right?
Yeah, I mean we perceive now, right? We have the senses, we perceive, and then whatever we perceive, we make our judgments. We like or dislike and so on. So what you really like or dislike is not the person, the thing, or the situation. What you like or dislike is your sensation in your body due to that object. This is very critical to understand. I think younger people here don't get confused because this has a lot of implications. So, for example, when you say I love you, which is an easy subject for everybody to understand, what does that really mean? It really means I love myself. Because what you love is the sensation in your body due to the person or the product or whatever. So what you are liking is not the person. And if you are Vipassana meditators, if you go for Vipassana, we talk about it later, normally Goenka also recommend husband and wife, they both go together. Otherwise you go to the course and you come home and say, I don't love you, I love myself, you'll have trouble. So if you are going, it's better both go to the course because it can cause trouble. But if you think about it, you can think of a lot of examples. So what you like and dislike, as I mentioned earlier, your response is based on your sankhara. So it is not it's not that something you create at the time. It's something that will happen, and you have no choice. Whatever you like, dislike, is immediate thought. You have no choice. We'll discuss that in a little bit more detail. So, what happens? So, if you love somebody, and if you meet somebody new, and your sensations change, the person you love is exactly the same. Nothing changed. The person didn't change. It could be a product or situation, but I think you can relate to people easier. Person doesn't change, but you meet somebody new, and you love somebody else. And what changes? What changes is the sensation in your body due to the new person. And then what happens is that you don't like what you like as much or even dislike what you liked before. So that's the person change. Your sensation changing. But the person, the object remains the same. And this is important to understand. Because if both understand this, that's why you should both go to Vipassana, then both understand the reality. And if you understand the reality, what gives you sensations, because you learn to observe your sensations, then you will both know what they are, and you can have a good understanding of the relationship. Otherwise you think you do or the other person doesn't know, so you can really be open about it. And what if the person changes? Obviously you could like or dislike the change, because that change could change the sensations in your body and the things could be different. So another example is the person remains the same, but the person keeps changing, but your memory of the sensations due to that person or the thing is still there. So you have the memory of those sensations, and still you could love the person because you have that memory of the sensation from the past, even though the new person is different. And this is important. And that's how you can still love your spouse when they're old and frail, because you have the memories from the past, not at the time. So this is something maybe need time to digest. If you are a Vipassana meditator, you can see those emotions come and go in slow motion. And that will help you detect some of those which you today probably don't even know. What goes in your mind, you only respond. So that gives you a chance to really observe and react. Not react, respond. So, you got it? Right. So this concept is not just Buddhism, it's a science that's proven. I don't have the research paper, I got this on the web because it displays, it explains what I was talking about, the sensations. And if you compare happiness and depression, you can see a big contrast. So you can actually observe the changes in sensations due to different emotions. And so you can easily feel those if you know how to.
What's that color code? Shows that it's
Yeah,
like
so
a
I don't have the
vibration.
research. This could be oxygen,
Oh, okay.
this could be blood flow. So I didn't have the research paper. I only could grab this out of from the pictures on Google. So let's look at the biggest deception of all. I, me, mine. And so basically, so this sometimes it's called selfing, the self. The self arises when you like or dislike something. So it's greed and aversion that creates the self. If you are equanimous, there is no self, there is no center. If you have self, the world spins around you. And this is important to know, that everything you do is relative to the rest of the world, and you look at the world from your point of view. And you also like to put everything and everybody into pigeonholes, so then you can manage this relativity. I like to call this relativity, but it's the emotional distance. So how does that work? So for example, the emotional distance is based on likes and dislikes, but how close the object or the person or the situation to you. In other words, what is in it for me? That's what determines the distance. Closer it is, means it affects you a lot. Your emotional distance is very short. If it's something far away, basically you don't care. So example, if you say a kid was run over, riding a bike near the school, and if you have no kids, well, okay, kid was run over. If you have a good kid going to school, well, you get worried. And if your kid is riding a bike to school, you probably run to school the moment you get the news. So the emotional distance depends on how close or attachment to the person, or even the dislike. I mean, it could be either. So it's important to know that, earlier we talked about love. So in this case, this close circle is not necessarily your immediate family, your spouse, your parents, your kids. Not necessarily. It depends on how you feel about that person. I mean, if you hate your parents, then the distance is, hate your parents, they are still close because they affect you. Their behavior affects you. But if they are far away, you never had contact, and you don't know them much, then the distance is further. So, you understand the point. So, the critical part is that everything we do, how we react, is based on that distance, and also relativity. That's why the emotional relativity, where you put things and people into pigeonholes. So another example, if you meet one of your high school friends after a long time, and you see gray hair, and you have black hair, of course, assuming nobody colors their hair, you feel happy. Because you feel, oh, he's getting older, I'm younger. So you have that emotional relativity. But on the other hand, if you see your spouse is getting gray hair, you're not happy. Why? Because the person is getting older, and then, chances are you may not have all the reason you love may not be there longer. Maybe getting whatever you get, cooking or working or whatever the reason that you have that you love your spouse. And we talk about the love. I mean, the love could be, that's why you need to understand why you love a person. And it could be looks, it could be, a lot of things. And if you don't know why, maybe you need to think why. There is a reason. It's not just that the whole thing. It could be something simple. It could be just the teeth or the eyes, something simple. And that's how you fall in love. You don't fall in love for the whole thing. So if you don't know why, you will be even more deluded. So it is important to appreciate this intellectually, at least for now, if you are not a meditator. So, as we discussed, the ugly truth is that I think I can touch what I see, but it's just a construct. So see, hear, taste, all the same. So you can make that relationship. I think I love a person, instead I love myself, my sensations. So that's a delusion. And I think I am, but I am not. So this is a world of construct. It's all mental construct. And that's the world we are living in. So this self-deception is what we normally refer to as delusion. So the world, the conventional reality is that we live in is totally deluded. And we all do that, unless you are enlightened. So that is the reality. And so if that is the case, so all our inputs are processed this way. So what happened to our outputs? This is like any engineers, any computer system. We have memory, we have processor, we have inputs and outputs. So we know what the inputs are. So what could be our outputs? So our output response are governed by how we perceive. And we talked about our perception. So effectively, it's garbage in, garbage out. And how we respond is based on what we perceive. We think we love, we do that, and we respond accordingly. So our inputs are, I wouldn't say fake, it's a construct. And all we can do is we respond based on that, the world of, constructed world. And it's not really real, but so why are we not concerned about it? We all get on with our life, not us, the whole world. Get on with life and nothing really happens. And everybody seems happy. So the reason is if one person is, suffers, then it's delusion. But if we are all mentally ill, it's normal. And that's why it's all normal. Meaning we are all mentally ill. Ill in the sense, the way I explained it. But I think it's knowing that, I know it is depressing, but you don't have to be depressed, and you can come out of it. So that's the good thing about it. It's like saying suffering. We talk about suffering, but if there's a way to come out of it, well, then we should consider that, I suppose. And how do we do that? And it is a mindfulness that helps us do that. And so how do we navigate towards ultimate reality? How do we try to understand that? And as you said, our mind is filled with all kinds of stuff. No, I wouldn't call it garbage, but all kinds of stuff. But kids, they have very little, so they are relatively happier. And not only kids, but even dogs are happier. Because they just live for the moment and they don't think too much. So, is that the same as mindfulness? Are kids, dogs, cats, are they more mindful than we are? But they are not. Mindfulness is a definition. This is from John Kabat-Zinn, who's a famous meditation teacher. It's the English version that he normally talks about. It's paying attention on purpose in the present moment and being non-judgmental. So it's not just being focused, just having mind on something. And a lot of people are mindful. I mean, we do a lot of things. When we listen to music or watching a movie, we are very mindful of what's going on. But this has a different meaning. You're going to be non-judgmental. And that's how you move towards equanimity. And concentration is one-pointedness of the mind, and these two go together. And mindfulness doesn't mean also concentration. When you are meditating, the mindfulness, you build awareness when the mind goes away, and you try to bring it back, and you keep awareness of your behavior of the mind. And one-pointedness is concentration, staying on the object of concentration. Now, at this point, maybe I could spend a few minutes on something a little bit more controversial and intellectual to why meditation is so powerful. And I'm sure you'll have opinions. We can discuss during the discussion time. So you have the future, present, and the past. Future is just imagination, past is the memory, and present is all we have. And this is a time axis. But what is time? I mean, scientifically, is there a definition for time? A lot of scientists say. Is there a definition for time? What is time? So, basically time cannot be measured. Time can only, like you measure weight. I mean, you measure weight by a standard weight. You measure distance with a standardized distance. And volume with the same, standardized volume. But time, you can't measure with time. You can only measure with events, physical, biological, or mental. So a burning candle.
What about seconds and the minutes?
Huh?
Seconds and the minutes.
That's moving. It's a mechanical event. So you are assuming that mechanical event is related to the time, a concept of time. So it's an assumption, you're linking that. Whereas a weight, you have a weight that you put against another weight, and you compare weights. When you compare time, you are comparing a mechanical event to time. Because
Physical.
It's physical, yeah. So the mechanical event is physical because it's mechanical. It could be biological, it could be mental. So mental, I mean, if you have no clocks, how do we know the time passes?
Sunrise.
Well, sun.
Yeah.
But if you are in a dark room, or if you have no access to anything changing around you physically, it's a mind moments. So if you're sitting in doctor's office waiting for the doctor, time could be slow. If you're watching a movie, time can be fast. So the concept of time is from the mind point of view. Those are the mental events, and that's your judgment of time. So then the question is, if you stay in that moment, if you stay in the present for a long time, are able to do that, you can create another axis of the presence where you have no future, you have no past. Now this will be a controversial statement. We can discuss about it. So this, how do you call it? In Abhidhamma, if you are in this state, you only have so-called bhavanga, and you have no chitta there, no modulation. So way to good analogy is a carrier frequency, constant frequency, and you modulate that with information. So that's when you have thoughts, or in this case, Chaitasika. And normally in the case of Abhidhamma, they come in 17 cycles. They're all one after the other, but in between there's bhavanga. So it's very comparable with the modulation. So if you have bhavanga only, you are in the present in that moment from a mental point of view, and you stay there. And I don't know what nirvana is, something like that. It's
Won't
transcending.
be with respect to time anymore, right? Because first you define time on the XY plane. right?
There's no, yeah, so
Yeah, so the third one won't be.
third one, there is no time,
No.
because your mind is now still. So still mind has no concept of time. So when you still the mind, I mean, this is my interpretation, we can discuss the Abhidhamma on it. Still mind is still time. And that's why you have another axis. Very controversial. So that's where the bhavanga comes in. It's just a carrier frequency just going on. There's no modulation, no chaitasika, no thoughts, nothing. So, how do you mind the mind? So basically, the single most important discovery, actually that's what Buddha brought to this world. The last mile, he, at that time, as you know, he went and learned from all the gurus and he was not satisfied. So the last mile was vipassana meditation, which is purely a Buddhist concept. It wasn't there at the time. So this is what Buddha discovered. And again, during discussion you can go into Satara Satipatthana and all the details, but it's basically being aware of body, mind, sensations and Dhamma. Again, the details we can go into later if we need to. But that's what you, but to practice vipassana or any meditation for that matter, sila is very, very critical. Because that's what helps you calm your mind. If you are not following any 5 precepts or 8 precepts, if you're breaking them, your mind will be very agitated and it's very hard or not almost impossible for you to meditate. And again, meditation is not just Buddhist. As you know, there are a lot of research being done now in many universities, especially in US. And you can see clearly the impact of meditation on our brain activity. Now, we don't want to argue about where, I think, so mind itself, if you call mind or chitta, not chitta, manasa, it's your sense organ, the 6th sense organ. But chitta and chaitasika are something different, and they don't necessarily have to be in the brain or even within the body. We don't know. But that's again subject for debate. So it's very clearly there is a benefit, and scientifically it's proven. So what are the benefits of vipassana or this, in this case I call this as vipassana meditation because that's the subject we want to talk about. It really sharpens your mind, improve concentration and memory, reduce stress and anxiety, and this is what a lot of the Western people are looking for in meditation. Improve mental and physical health, improve productivity and creativity, and I think this will certainly help a lot in your work. You can recover all the time you lose doing meditation, 1 hour, 2 hours a day, because your productivity is much higher, so you will recover any time you lose. And you will be not judgmental. You can detect, because you are now able to detect sensations in your body when you get, input through your senses, and you learn to respond compassionately and not react in situations. You can achieve a sense of bliss, so I don't call it happiness, it's bliss. And up to this point, so these 7 out of 10 you can achieve in one retreat. Meditation retreat, I'm talking about in this case Goenkaji retreats. So that's the major achievement, and I think almost everyone will experience improvement in all these areas. And you can become aware of delusion, eventually eradicate it, experience ultimate reality through nature and transcend mind and matter. That's the long-term plan. So Goenka meditation, and this is, I put few things together. There are people who've been to Goenka meditation here, so they can add more or tell more things about it. It's clearly based on Buddhist Vipassana meditation. There's no secret. I mean, he talks about it. You have to take precepts and so on. And there's a teacher to answer questions and guide meditation. It's 10 days of intense sitting. There is no contact, even eye contact with your fellow meditators. There may be 100, 200, whoever, however the number. And it is essential that everyone takes, the first time is 5 precepts. After that you have to take the 8 precepts at the beginning when you start the course. And you have to keep that during that time. And I consider, I haven't done a lot of retreats, so I haven't been to Burma, and there are people who've been around the world doing different things. From the little I know, I think this is a fast track for the 10 days. You can achieve a lot and you get immediate results. And from what I've heard and experienced, first timers also can achieve sati and samadhi, if you know what they are. We can have explanations later. So you will experience a new lease of life, especially if you keep practicing. So the question now, why are we not doing that? We are happy to be in the spiral of life, all our evolutionary, carry on our race, we eat, we sleep, we work or hunt, do whatever. And we are happy in that cycle or spiral, in that deluded reality. Because we don't know we were deluded, so now at least you heard about it. And so intellectually you may appreciate it, but still it is hard to get out of our daily routine and get out of the spiral, and the spiral is going to end sooner or later. So time is of the essence. And some may be thinking, well, I'm still young, I can learn about Buddhism, I can practice when I get old, but that's also not realistic. I started Goenka Vipassana much later, when I'm old. I wish I'd done that when I was in college. And if you go to these courses, you'll see, I was expecting a lot of elderly people, less than 10%, maybe 5%, over 50. Everybody is 20s and 30s, college students. So a lot of people understand the benefit of it for education, for work. So you'll be surprised how, those are not Buddhists, they are just other Americans, all from all walks of life. And another reason maybe you're probably in denial. Everybody says that, but 9 out of 10 people disagree with my idea, which sends a very clear message. 9 out of 10 people are wrong. So, could be in that mode. So let me, at this point, show you, before I end, the short video.
You may have heard this word mindfulness. It's become something of a buzz phrase of late. I'm going to give you one simple, serviceable definition, which is this. Mindfulness is the ability to know what's happening in your head at any given moment without getting carried away by it. Imagine how useful this could be. Just as an example, driving down the road and somebody cuts you off in traffic. How do you normally react? I think most of us, we normally react by having a thought, which is, I'm pissed. And then what happens next? You immediately, habitually, reflexively inhabit that thought. You actually become pissed. There's no buffer between the stimulus and your reaction. With just a little bit of mindfulness, in that same situation, you might notice my chest is buzzing, my ears are turning red, I'm having a starburst of self-righteous thoughts, I'm getting angry. But you don't necessarily have to act on it and chase that person down the road, screaming at them with your kids in the back of the car thinking you've gone nuts. Now, you might be thinking, don't I need to get angry sometimes? Aren't I justified? I would say yes, but probably not as much as you think. The proposition here is not that you should be rendered by mindfulness into some lifeless, non-judgmental blob. The proposition is that you should learn how to respond wisely to things that happen to you, rather than just reacting blindly. And that, my friends, is a superpower. How do you get it? The way to get it is through meditation. I believe that meditation and mindfulness are the next big public health revolution. In the 1940s, if you told somebody you were going running, they would have said, who's chasing you? But then what happened next? The scientists swooped in, they showed that physical exercise is really good for you, and now all of us do it, and if we don't, we feel guilty about it. And that's where I think we're headed with mindfulness and meditation. It's going to join the pantheon of no-brainers like brushing your teeth, eating well, and taking the meds your doctor prescribed for you. Let me just close by saying, mindfulness is not going to solve all of your problems. It's not going to render your life a nonstop parade of unicorns and rainbows. Nonetheless, this is a superpower, and one that is accessible by you immediately.